Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everybody, and welcome to this new Nextatlas webinar that is dedicated to home as a multifunctional hub. So understanding what will be home like and what is becoming home environment in the latest period. Today we are discussing. We are not alone here, so I'm very glad to welcome our beloved guest, which is Paolo Lorini, head of residential air conditioning team at Midea Milan Design Center. So welcome, Paolo. Can you tell us a bit more about your role in Midea?
Absolutely. Hello, Eric, and hello, everyone. I'm glad to be here, and thanks for having me here. So yes, as you properly mentioned, I am the head of residential air conditioning team at Midea, or Midea, depending on where you are in the world, Milan Design Center. I've joined the company in 2020 as the head of this team, and I'm building and guiding a team of global talent to envision, design, and land the entire portfolio of air treatment products for the European market. So we basically observe what people want, and we try to come up with a wonderful product that will make an impact in the market and make people's lives better.
It's a very interesting role, and so I'm really happy to welcome you to discuss about topics that may have an impact in how appliances are impacting homes and how homes are impacting the way appliances are designed. Every trend report starts with some information like this one. There is this word polycrisis that until a few years ago was not even existing and now has become part of common vocabulary. So it refers, of course, to the fact that we are living in a kind of troubled times where we have difficulties to understand what will be the impact of geopolitical tensions, what will be the impacts of changing in economy, in supply chains, in environment, of course, and in climate. So I guess that also on your end, you are starting from this type of consideration, this type of framework when you think about the design that you do.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a really important topic that we are very much considering. We always start from global drivers, right? We always start to understand before the homes. We try to understand what are the people's feeling of a certain era. And for sure, in this time, we are experiencing an emotional how can we say, we have reached emotional capacity. In a research that we have done recently, a couple of years ago, we have kind of measured the emotional states of people in Europe. And some of the keywords that came up were burnout, or being overwhelmed, being stressed, being anxious, being fearful. And then, of course, you also have those random positive keywords like being hopeful, being connected, being joyful, being lively, etc., etc. The reason why we start from these global drivers is that global drivers drive people behaviors. And so as a result of this global driver, almost as a reaction, especially new generation we are witnessing, try to change their priority and align their behaviors with the ethical values. So they try to change the way they work, and they try to change the way they select the products that they decide to buy.
Clear. And so this it's very important, I believe, to start from what you call a driver. So this framework in which we are all living in. And as you were already anticipating, there are some factors here. We have 4 trends that we detected, among other ones, in Nextatlas that we have identified, of course, through our ongoing analysis of more than 300,000 early adopters at global level, and that describe a bit how more bigger trends that may impact society, the way we live, the way we behave with products and technologies may have an impact on home appliances and home in general. So it will work in this way. In the next 20-25 minutes, I will bring you as an input a few trends that we have identified for Nextatlas, and I will ask you your opinion also, of course, in light of the great experiences that you are having in Midea.
Thank you, Eric. And for sure, this thing of the multifunctional hub is very much present in all the work we do, right? Homes are changing, especially after the pandemics are changing more and more. And they have become exactly what we call multifunctional hub, because different generations spend more time doing different things, mixing private and professional life, in person and online, with the family, friends, colleagues. So homes are becoming more and more machines where people live, and these machines need to cater to their desires and their needs. So this is a very proper kind of definition that you're putting there.
Yeah, and I believe that the first trend that we are commenting goes a bit in this direction. We are speaking about deep states. So this idea that is really a growing need for concentration, focus, relax. So spaces that are both metaphorical and physical spaces in which we can really concentrate to do something, exactly because on the opposite, we are living in environments that are mostly crowded or used by different people with different needs and in different hours of the day. So this is the first important input, and as we can see, it is growing, and it has been growing particularly in the last few months. We have a 41% of prediction for the next 12 months thanks to Nextatlas data.
And it's quite impressive. 41 is quite steep.
Yeah, but you see, it's a phenomenon that has been quite stable for a few years. But if you look at the curve in the last few months, this has really changed. And so I believe that also this growing mess that we see every day, also the news. And so what's happening as an impact also in the way we feel, of course, brings to this need of closing down, narrowing down somehow the spaces and the inputs. And this is a wonderful example, the Luxifer entity silent chair. So a chair that creates a moment and an occasion where you don't feel the noise. And I believe this is relevant for homes. It's also relevant, I believe, for people that is working in big offices. So I am asking you some first thought about this need that is emerging.
Well, I think it's really relevant nowadays, and we've seen it coming up very much over the past, I would say, couple of years, right? Where one of the activities that we do is to really interview people in several various ways, beside, of course, keeping track of all the trends and all the things that are ongoing. We also interview people to try and understand their needs, their expectations, their desires when it comes to home comfort, because home comfort, never forget about it, is what we do actually here in my team. We basically design air treatment products, which means air conditioner, dehumidifier, portable air conditioner, heat pumps, etc., that have a huge impact on the way people live in their homes and sometimes also in their offices. So one of the recurring needs that people have from the standpoint of comfort, of home comfort, is that they want products to be powerful, because the global warming outlook looking forward is unfortunately relatively negative, even though we keep our emission levels very low, which is probably not going to be the case. But at the same time, while being powerful, allowing individual preferences and allowing people to actually define their own idea of comfort and have an appliance that allows them to make it real. So in this sense, I believe that this comes from the need of people to reach a sort of detachment from the speed and the background noise that life presents to us every day, every moment of our life, and instead try to carve out their own little cocoon. Our role as a home comfort products supplier, to say, we have the scope and the goal to make this happen in a way that is very convenient and efficient.
Okay, and yeah, that's you're speaking about efficiency, and I believe that the second trend that we are going to comment goes also a bit in this direction, because evergreen value refers to the fact that we are assisting a kind of shift between two different ways of purchasing, ways of taking decisions. So on one end, there are these things that you purchase for a very little cost, and so the decisions that don't have a very relevant impact in your life. And in this, we're really easygoing. So there is something that is a little threat, a little decision that you make as an impulse shopping purchase. But then on the other end, there's a totally different direction when it comes to products and services that have a bigger impact on our lives, so both in terms of cost, but also in terms of value that they bring. And so the topic of value is being a bit reconsidered in the latest conversations. This is a bit more recent phenomenon that we are looking at. And also in this case, the prediction of growth is quite significant. And we're speaking about topics such as long-term value, such as our resilient supply. So the idea of where this comes from, what is the material, what is the real value of what I'm buying, and not only the commercial value, but also how long I will use it. Will it be flexible, for example? The example that I bring to your attention there is this migrated Model 1 battery, which is storage for electricity, which can be plugged in everywhere in a very easy way. And it has the objective of storing energy in the moments and through the sources that are cheaper and so most convenient. And this is interesting because it's something that then you can apply to everything and that you can bring with you. So it's this type of object that is not so, it doesn't take much space, it doesn't take much attention, I would say, but is very useful and very flexible. So I believe you're doing something that goes a bit in this direction too.
Yeah, absolutely. There are several different types of sustainability that we can talk about. Of course, the products that we design and that we bring to the market are not fast-moving consumer goods. They are long-lasting products. They have a very long life cycle, and they last a long time in people's homes. Air conditioner, even heat pumps are really important products that are entering now in people's lives. They are more and more like a commodity, if you want, because you cannot live without them. At the same time, the choices that people make when they buy them, when they purchase these products, are quite considered and careful. So there is any sort of substantial initial investment, but then there is also an ongoing investment. So the products need to be efficient. If you think about that, based on our understanding, based on some public statistics, 72 of the home energy all over the world is used for heating and cooling purposes. Almost 45% for space heating, 18% for water heating, and 9% for space cooling. So it's no surprise that more than 70% of consumers around the world are very much concerned about the home energy performance of their products. But there is also another type of sustainability that I would like to quickly touch on here, which is the aesthetic to sustainability or the design sustainability. Of course, we need to create products that are not only durable, but respectful of the planet, but also aesthetically pleasing. They shouldn't be looking tired after a few years, because maybe they need to last 15 years in people's homes, right? So our goal is always to balance these two almost contrasting needs and requirements, to create a timeless design that lasts and the test of time, lasts beyond the test of time. At the same time, creates something that adapts to the needs of an ever-changing life.
Can we say that you are creating, so you have the objective of creating something that, as you say, is timeless, so it becomes a kind of classical also if you look at the long-term period?
Yeah, we like to call this classical an archetype. Recently, we produced some products that are first in the market in terms of product architecture, and they were born from a deep understanding of the requirements of a specific clusters of people that couldn't find on the market any product that would satisfy specifically their reasons. So we were able to find these clusters, and we were able to convince and cooperate with our colleagues at the HQ and also in Germany, because we have a research center in Germany, to come up with new platforms that were originated in Europe and created for Europe, and then now we are selling in Europe, that really address some specific needs, and we call them product archetypes, because also the way we design the appearance, so the part that you see of the product, reflects this idea of creating something new. I will tell you a little bit more later if you want about this topic.
Wonderful. And yeah, it's when creating something, you are now referring to the fact that you are balancing a bit, say, the efficiency. You are balancing something that is good looking and a bit timeless in a way of also in terms of design. Speaking about use, of course, it's important to consider also the environment where these objects will end up. So embodied conviviality, or third trend that we are commenting on today, refers to the fact that this has been growing particularly and with different directions in the last years after the pandemic. More and more we have become aware of the fact that home is no longer a place just for private life, but is a place where different type of interaction and community interaction take place. So it can be a place where you're by yourself, but also a place where you are with your family in a more narrow sense, but also in a bigger sense, also other type of relatives, neighbors, friends, and also where you experience on one end private life, of course, but also work and maybe moments of sharing at a higher level. So it means that the same place, home, becomes a place where very different things happen depending on the moment of the day, on the season, on who's there at the moment. And as you can see, there are moments in which this emerges as a most relevant conversation, and here the tradition of growth of this feeling and this way of living internal spaces and home in particular is even stronger. Multimedia, shape-shifting, and here we have some concepts that are better explained with these different business cases. Yeah, the case study from LG Mood Up refrigerators, because this is a very good example in a way that you see that this is a refrigerator that changes mood through time, depending, of course, on the tone of the conversation and what's happening inside the home. So it has functionalities that on one hand adapt to different situations, but also the colors. So it's also a ton of how this product is present in a kitchen, in this case, in home in general. So it's this adaptation to different moments and different things that can be done at home.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is very much connected with the overall theme of today's webinar, which is home as a multifunctional hub, right? So the fact that people live in the same place and do many different things during the day with different people online, offline, etc., the home is basically the scenario or the landscape where all of this happens. all of these new behaviors take place. But there is one very much contrasting constraint to all of this, right? Because you think if you can have any number of room in a big home and do whatever you want, you specialize each room to do the same, a specific thing or perform a certain activity. But actually that's exactly the opposite of what is happening, because the housing cost is skyrocketing. People nowadays tend to choose sometimes to rent instead of buying homes. And that means that the product need to follow them from one home to the other, especially also going along with their own professional careers that can span multiple cities in a relatively short amount of time. So every product that goes into this landscape that becomes our home need to be flexible and need to be adaptable, need to be smart enough to actually have a presence, but at the same time be changing enough in terms of what it is able to perform in various moments of the day, in various moments of the week, in various moments of people's life. Especially if a product that is requiring a relatively high investment to be purchased, considered, let's say, purchasing process, and also that lasts a long time. So yes, definitely this trend of embodied conviviality that you're talking about means that the product becomes expressive in terms of the multiple things that it can perform, the multiple, let's say, tasks that it can perform over time in people's lives and homes.
Yeah, exactly. And lately there has been an evolution in this sense, because the things that we are asking to technology and that we are, let's say, expecting also in interaction between human and technology go beyond. And so we come to the concept of our fourth trend, that is synthetic intimacy, which means the fact that particularly after the launch of generative AI in the mainstream, what has happened is that a lot of people started interacting much more than before with interfaces and with technologies. This is something that we are doing so much, of course, with smartphones. Now we've been doing this for 20 years nearly, but now we are doing it at a higher pace and at a different level. So synthetic intimacy means really the fact that we expect technology to be not only in line with our needs in terms of functional needs or in terms of our aesthetical choices and taste, but also come to the point of providing personal recommendation so a level of interaction that is much higher, and that becomes as being a bit intimate with a technology that actually is not, of course, a human being, but is something that is distant. And the example that I bring in this case is that of Whiting's Omnia Mirror, which is a case study that is about this mirror that seems a normal big mirror, but the shape is already a bit that of a very big smartphone. So it's just a clue that there's some interaction there. And in fact, when you go in front of this mirror, you are somehow analyzed, and you can interact with the mirror to have recommendation about health and personal well-being in general. So this is quite a light way of introducing this interactive technology, because it's an object that you don't notice maybe if you're not in front of it, so it's not so particular standing as a technological object by itself. But when you're there and you're interacting there, let's say that this kind of magical interaction with technology happens. And so
very, very appropriate. I think the introduction of AI is still at the very beginning, especially in the home space. We are witnessing something like that also in our field, and of course we incorporate AI in our products. But what people really want is not simply to delegate to the product and forget about it, what the product could do in order to, let's say, create the condition of comfort that they look for, but actually having a sort of interaction or elevated experience with the product. From our research, people want products that integrate seamlessly both in the home technology already existing, because nowadays technology is so pervasive and has become kind of the enabler of home comfort, that is very much likely that any product we add to the home is also being added to the smart home system already, right? So people do not want to relearn how to connect the product and how to make it work with their existing habits or existing system. They just want it to integrate and stay there seamlessly, almost invisibly, until they need it to perform something. And that's when the engagement and the experience begins, and the interaction can be inclusive, can be more systemic, and can be even sometimes analog. One insight that we recently discovered, actually not recently, but that we have always kept very well in mind, is that people love to use their phone to control their appliances when they are out of home, but they hate to do that when they are in the home, right? So, for example,
because it's easier to do it directly.
But usually the remote controllers are crap, usually, of any kind of, or the interfaces, because we are mainly dealing with remote controllers, right? They are crap. So we are trying to also elevate and come up with new ideas and new concepts on how to interact with the product in a way which is more elegant, more seamless, more discreet, and that is there when you need it and is meaningful when you need it, but is not invasive. So this topic that you're talking about of synthetic intimacy is very much something that we are working on at the moment. Yes.
Of course, and yeah, of course, there are many other trends that you are considering, many other trends that we are seeing emerging in Nextatlas. But to wrap up this session, what I would like to ask you, so we have started with the idea of home as a multifunction hub, and we are ending up with a concept that sums up the view of Midea for home appliances design, which is humanizing technology. Can you tell us a bit more?
Yeah, absolutely. Humanizing technology is our mantra, is a mantra of Midea group as a whole. So we always see technology as an enabler of a more human life, of a better life in our homes mainly, right? So how can we dissect, how can we specify the values that we try to convey and express throughout our products? First of all, the products need to be easy to understand, right? You shouldn't find a barrier between you and understanding what the product is and what is able to create for you, what is able to perform for you. So that's why in our design language that we are, let's say, promoting for the European market, we are favoring simple forms that have a certain continuity, that have immediate readability in terms of cognitive understanding. A second important value that we want to convey is that every product we create is made for everybody's home, right? So we want to make it possible for you, when you look at a product, to feel like, okay, I can see this in my home. And the technique or the tool that we use to make it happen is to adopt very elegant materials. We were the first to do white goods that are not only white, but they are white and light gray. They have a sort of neutral, low-tone palette that adapts and looks more like a furniture piece, as a result of make the product look more like a furniture piece than just a simple white box that is there waiting to be turned on and off when you need it. And also we want to try always to add some innovation in the way people use. So in the moment of experiencing the product, we always try to incorporate some elements of surprise so that people have an aha moment when they use the product, because beyond all the things, the fact that it's easy to understand, that has blending very well in the home, the performance when it is needed is beyond the expectation of people. So our products usually deliver that. For example, the product you see on screen now in the background is Porta Split, that people mainly consider useful for cooling purposes, but actually when you buy it, you also discover that you can use it also in the winter time to warm your home in the mid-season, right? So that is also a surprising thing that is really boosting the acceptance and the success of this product that is selling incredible amount of units.
Of course, and yeah, we understand for starting from these words, but also for everything that we have discussed before, that yeah, you have a great impact in what you do in terms of design, but also in terms of responsibility to meet consumers' desires and also new values and lifestyles that are emerging. So I thank you very much again for this opportunity and for having discussed this with us. I remember everybody that there will be the possibility to download this report on Nextatlas website, where you will find more information about what we have discussed. I thank you again, Paolo, for this participation, and for everybody for the participation. See you next time.
Thank you, Eric, and thank you to all the Nextatlas team.
Bye.
Bye-bye.